Hey everybody, this is my 55-gallon gourami tank. I know at the moment we don't have any gouramis in this tank, but we will soon. So this is going to be a brief update on a little Nerite snail I've got right there. About 3 or 4 days ago, I brought home some Nerite snails. I put a few in another tank, and then I put 3 of them in this tank. As soon as I put them in the tank, I remembered that I've got loaches in this tank. In fact, you can see my Angelicus loach right there, lying down taking a nap in the back. I've got coolie loaches in here. And then I've got some skunk loaches in here. And I don't know what I was thinking, or I guess I should say I wasn't thinking. And I put the snails in here anyway, and loaches really do love eating snails. They don't devour them the way I used to believe they did, but they do eat them. And they will go after larger snails in that they will peck at their flesh if the flesh is exposed, if they're, out and crawling around. And so what it does is it causes the snail to withdraw and retract back into its shell to protect itself, and it winds up starving to death. It can never get out of its shell long enough to really get any kind of good feed if it's in a tank with the loaches to keep chewing on it. And so as soon as I put the 3 of them in there, I realized that was probably a bad idea, but you never know. The loaches in this tank are all pretty well fed. They're all old. Well, the coolie loaches aren't that old, but they're not really big snail eaters anyway. My other loaches, the ones that are big snail eaters, are all pretty old. And so I figured it might be okay. So the next day, I pulled 2 of them out because I noticed on a couple of occasions I'd come in and the snails were turned upside down on their backs, or one of them was. The other one was attached to the glass and was sort of burrowing its way down below the line of substrate. And they do that sometimes in my other tank, so that wasn't necessarily the snails trying to escape. But I just got the impression that the snails were being harassed and it was time to get them out of there. But I could only find 2 of them. And so I took the other 2 out, and I looked and I looked and I looked and could not find the third one anywhere. And just now I'm coming down here to get the lights turned out. And right there, as you've probably noticed by now, since we've been staring at it this entire video, is my 3rd Nerite snail. So I'm going to leave it alone. If it's that far up on that piece of wood, that means it's crawled up there without anything really bothering it. I got loaches in there that aren't harassing it at the moment. And one of the things I really need to address in this tank is the algae. I've got the air stones going in there. That is because I've been doing chemi-clean treatments to kill off the cyanobacteria in this tank. And I have indeed killed off the cyanobacteria. But I've got this real weird algae that sort of sheets on stuff. And then I've got this hair algae that's all stringy and strandy growing in there. And I need something that will eat that hair algae. And not a lot will eat hair algae. But Nerite snails will. Nerite snails eat almost anything. They're great. So I'm going to leave it in there. We're going to see what happens. Next time I get down House of Tropicals, we are going to bring some more of my beloved Siamese algae eaters home, because the Siamese algae eaters will eat that hair algae too. And I think once we get some Siamese algae eaters in this tank, it's going to get cleaned up quite a bit, and it's going to look a lot less shaggy and gross and covered in algae the way it does right now. So make sure you're subscribed and you won't miss any of that. And I will be keeping a close eye on this Nerite snail. If I do see that it's being harassed, or I feel like it's getting nibbled on or chomped on by the loaches, I will pull it out of there and put it in another tank. I do have plenty of tanks where we could put that where there's no loaches at all. So make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you check out my other channel, Dan's Outdoors and More. There's a link down below to that. You can help support me by becoming a member of my channel. You could also do super thanks, which is a way they used to call applause. I think it's called super thanks now, but you never know. They're changing the name on these types of things all the time. Anyway, you get the idea. There's lots of ways you could help support me if you appreciate what I do here on my channel. I'm going to say thanks again. Make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you real soon in the next one.